Good afternoon, sir. Good to see you.
Hi, good afternoon. Good to see you.
Good to see you. You are the first person to log in. Beulah Fem owes you a big gift. I'm sure that at the end of the year we'll look into it.
Good.
Well,
No problem. A small goat with one big keg of palm wine should do.
wow. We will meet up with that. That will be very easy to deliver on. We just to get to Umumede and get the
Absolutely.
tapas to do that. Good to see you, Mr. President, Mr. OK, Uriah. Good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, good afternoon, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Well done.
Thank you very much. You know,
You're welcome.
our country. I just give like 2 or 3 more minutes before we start today's discussion. It's nice having you people around. Thank you so much. It's a brief discussion, but I believe that we will get value. Wow, so the data is coming in. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. We're starting in 2 or 3 minutes time. So we allow some more people to get into the meeting room before we start. Thank you so much, Sovio Dada. So we are covered. We have a registered survey in the house. Good to have you, sir. Good to have
Good afternoon, guys.
Good to have you,
Yeah,
sir. Good to have you, sir.
yeah.
Thank you
Nice
so much. We'll start at 5 minutes past 2. Thank you so much. And Scholar, thank you very much for joining. Thank you. We're starting in 2 minutes time. Our discussion is very brief, but thankfully I have a backup. So there's no much, there'll be no much, no stress. We'll talk from the lawyer angle, and then we'll have a professional amongst us. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Christopher. It's always a pleasure to have you around. Thank you so much. Thank you
madam.
for joining the web. Always a pleasure. Thank you so
It's
much.
a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Schultz, Victory. It's great having you around. In 1 minute time, we'll just delve into our discussion quickly. And then I believe every one of us will have value for the few minutes that we're going to spend here. We're not discussing so much, but we're discussing something that will be of value, particularly to real estate owners already. And then those. Thank you, Mr. Ayo. Thank you for joining the webinar. It's a pleasure to have you around. Okay, like I said, we're not wasting time. Good afternoon to every one of us here present. My name is Caroline Igege. For those that have been in touch with Beulah Barrister and Solicitor, I'm the principal partner of the firm. And these are monthly series. We began the monthly series since last year. We talked about wills actually when we started, why you should have a will in place. We've talked about perfection. We've talked about due diligence. We've discussed at length, but today we are discussing survey plan. And for those that joined earlier, I said we have a professional or a licensed. Oh, thank you so much. I don't know. Okay, So that we are not distracted, kindly mute your mic. Kindly mute your mic. I'm trying to mute everyone as well here. Okay, please. I said we've discussed a whole lot since we started the monthly series last year. And today we are looking into survey plan. And we have a licensed surveyor in the house. Auntie Arahi, please mute your mic.
Okay, sorry. Yes, ma'am.
So we were looking at survey plan. Survey plan. Okay, let me share my screen with you. Although there's so we just see the right up on the screen as well. Okay, that's the beginning. Okay. We're discussing survey plan, and I have said that it's a document that shows you the exact location of the land. It shows you the size and then the exact location of the land. On it, you have the name of the owner of the land, you have the size, you have the different specification on it. You get to find out whether the land is free or not just by looking at a survey plan. You should have all this in it. Whether the land is free or not, that is the status of the land, the name of the owner of the land that has or that has been surveyed or that has the survey plan, the stamp of the surveyor that did it, that is the licensed surveyor that must have done it, if it's the kind of survey plan that we are discussing. Because what we are discussing as survey plan is the one that will fly in relation to property law practice. Remember, it's a law firm that is actually hosting the webinar. So the survey plan that we're talking about is not just any one that anybody just drew up. That's provisional survey, just to depict the size or the picture of the land. The one that we're talking about is the one that will fly for perfection of title. That is the one that will help you to protect your ownership of that land. That's the nature of the survey plan that we're talking about this afternoon. And I said it should have your name, it should have the size of the land, it should have the license of the license of you that prepared it. The signature will be there, the plan number will be there. There are so much other features that will be there. At the end of the day, I know most of us would have seen a survey at different times in our life. But what we want to get this afternoon is what should we watch out for, particularly when we need it for perfection of title. And the reason why the law firm is discussing it is because oftentimes when clients reach out to us that they want to perfect, and then maybe you take out their survey plan, or you even tell them from mere looking at it alone that the survey plan will not fly. They are looking at you like, what's the lawyer saying? Is a surveyor that did it for me. Yes, it's a surveyor that did it for you, but because of what we have encountered in practice, we know when the surveyor is either incompetent or is fraudulent. We will get to that part of the discussion today. So you as a prospective investor should be more careful, particularly when it comes to pricing. We also talk about all of that. Please help me. I'm unable to mute everybody. Kindly mute your mic as you come in, as soon as you come in. Thank you. So I said we are discussing the survey plan that will fly for perfection. And we have already talked about what you should see by picking up a survey plan at a glance. And then what do we need it for? We're talking about investigation of land status. Why do we need it for investigating land and status? You know, when we are discussing, for those of us that have been on the webinar before, when we talked about perfection, we talked about due diligence, and we mentioned some things that you should do, particularly when you are buying. I'm presenting from Lagos State. In this part or in this climb where I'm presenting from, land matters are more dicey, in short, than every other part in Nigeria, because you know Lagos is the commercial nerve center. You know, a lot of transaction keeps going on, so there are a lot of fraudulent practices going on, and that is why we try to throw light on some things. But that's not to take it. It's not a, as in you can't use it as a client advice, because I keep talking about every transaction being unique, every transaction being having its own peculiarities. So let me go back to what I'm talking about, investigation of land title. When you are doing your search, you want to know whether the land is free or not. And in doing that, you need the survey plan. They will need the survey plan to find out the status of the land. Some lands can actually be under government acquisition. We've discussed all of this before. Under acquisition, acquisition can be it can be a committed one. It could be general. Those ones we discussed it before. But if you have any question in that regard, maybe you can drop it in the chat box because we've discussed that before. We use it for investigation of land titles, so I won't delve into committed and general acquisition today because we're discussing survey plan. It's also a component document for perfection. When we request documents or when clients come to us and then they want us to perfect land, one of the documents that we request for, in short, it's even is primarily is as major as the deed of assignment or whichever document that they use to transfer title to you, because the office of the surveyor general will need the survey plan, and that is the beginning of perfection. When you're starting to perfect your title, that is when you are starting to put your documents in order to reflect your own name with the government or with the right body or agency that should have your records. The survey plan is very, very important. It forms part of the beginning of perfecting your title, because first of all, those documents will be sent to the office of the surveyor general of that particular state. They will need it to check whether the survey plan that you are attaching to your perfection document, whether it actually depicts the size and the location of that particular land that you are talking about. So without the survey plan, you cannot even perfect. So the survey plan is very, very important. And the last time when we met, we were discussing a title. Now, today, I asked the question, does survey plan give you title? In the last webinar, I answered in the negative. Survey plan is not a title document. It is not a title document. So we're a situation whereby people go out and they say, maybe there is an advert and the advert is saying that they are selling with registered survey. Please be very careful. If at all you are buying, be sure that you are buying from the position of strength. You are making an informed decision, not from the position of ignorance, in quotes, please. So survey plan does not give you title, but it forms part of your title document. That is why you hear people talking about registered survey, because it forms part of your registered document. But mind you, without the document, the survey plan alone cannot give you title. It is just depicting the size, the location, and then it helps the office of the surveyor general to do what we call charting. They chart it against your records, because like I said earlier, we're discussing the kind of survey plan that will confer title or that you can use to perfect your title. That's the one we're talking about, the one that is prepared by a licensed surveyor. So now, I've answered again, survey plan does not give you title. So don't go about purchasing things and saying that your title is survey plan. Survey plan is not a title document. It just forms part of the documents that you will use or that someone who owns title should have. It forms part of your deed or part of your C of O or part of your grants, because there are different instruments of transferring title, and we discussed that in our last webinar. So the registered survey that you keep hearing about or you keep seeing is part of a document, and that document is what gives you title. So survey alone cannot stand. Even if you are buying, you should buy from the position of someone who is informed. What kind of survey do you need? We've already talked about it. The one that is prepared by a licensed surveyor. Why do I keep hammering on it? Not too long ago, a client reached out to me and was like, and he wants to perfect his land. I took out the documents for perfection. And when it went to the office of the state surveyor general, the office of the surveyor general of Lagos State, because that's where I'm presenting from, they queried it. And when they queried it, the man kept on arguing that what's wrong with the survey, that there's nothing wrong with the survey. I said they don't have the record copy. It is not lodged with them. That is why one has to be diligent. When we're talking about due diligence, other perfection, we hammered on it. You cannot be too careful when it comes to investment, particularly when it is hard-earned money. You don't just say, I saw an advert, and then the money, you just throw money into it. The one that is the trend now is you see celebrity. They will not, when push comes to shove, the court will not call the celebrity. The celebrity is in a class of his or her own. There's nothing that connects the celebrity to the firm, the real estate firm that you bought from, or the individual that you bought from. If they like, they advertise with 300 celebrity. The court will not call them for questioning that why did you deceive the public. In property law transaction, it is the buyer that should beware. So, and there is no need even creating issues and going to the courts. The dockets of the judge is already full. They don't have time for all of that, except we have energy for litigation that will span years. There's one litigation issue that we'll be handling. That transaction or the case has spanned more than 30 years. It's moved from state high court to court of appeal, from court of appeal to Supreme Court. After 30 years, they are still in court. They are trying to prove who owns the title and who does not own the title. And the people who formed that cooperative that started that case, majority of them are no more. So sometimes we just have to do our due diligence very well so that we don't get our fingers burnt while trying to make investments. We're talking about what kind of survey. I've talked about it has to be the one prepared by a licensed surveyor. And I was talking about someone who we wanted to perfect for, and we could not perfect. We found out that the person did not pay the exact fee, because there is an exact fee that you should pay. Because if it's a licensed surveyor that is doing it, there's an amount they remit to the office of this surveyor general. So when we found out the ridiculous amounts that the man did it, we first of all told him the survey plan will not fly. This is not the type of survey that you should attach to the documents. The one you should attach to the document should be the one that has a record copy, because they are going to check it against the record copy at the office of the surveyor general of any state, whichever state you are buying from and whichever state you want to perfect from. So if the survey plan is not registered with, particularly Lagos here, because this is where I reside and that's where I'm presenting from, particularly Lagos State here, if it is not registered with the office of the surveyor general, your charting will be futile. And once your charting is futile, they will put the title or the documents back to the lands bureau. So it's back to square one. Your survey plan has to be intact. It has to be the one done by a licensed surveyor. The record copy has to be with the office of the surveyor general of the state. So when you approach us as lawyers, we will ask for documents depicting assets, and we will know from what you are presenting to us, or by reaching out to the licensed surveyor that has prepared the survey plan. And the studies are many. There's another one we did. The man kept on arguing. I couldn't proceed. The land had issue. It was committed. From the survey plan, we knew, but we don't know. Please, can you help me mute your mic, please? We don't know what happened at the point of purchase, why the person bought the land. Probably the person did not conduct enough due diligence. And that's what we discussed in our previous webinar. Why are we hammering on today?
I've been late, mommy. I've been ready when you stood that
I'm
thing.
able to even find out, please, kindly mute your mic. The children are talking. I cannot pinpoint which of the speakers are on. Please, kindly mute your mic. Kindly mute your mic. Okay, I'm said it from here. Please mute your mic. It's taking us back, and we really have a short time to discuss this. Okay, I don't know, where do I pick up from? Okay, we're talking about why are we hammering on survey plan today? Because as a property lawyer, we have seen different instances where we are unable to perfect simply because the client did not do what he or she was supposed to do. The due diligence was not properly done, and then we get stuck in the process of trying to perfect. Some surveyors do it. Some of them do it deliberately. I don't know why, depending on what you communicated to them as a buyer. Because some persons have already bought their properties before they discovered that the property was encumbered. And when trying to cut corner, they may actually engage a surveyor who would fly the coordinates for them. Flying coordinates means that the survey plan will be depicting that the land is somewhere else, whereas the land is not there. And you know, because the officers who we interact with too in Lands Bureau, they know that a lot of people are fraudulent. So over the years, they have fine-tuned their own practice. Now they have what they call internal control. They have survey units. There's so many units, and all those things, they just add to the bureaucratic nature of the agency. The agency is already handicapped. And when they now find out that people don't take out time to do proper survey or do proper documents, they'll bring out a policy again. And the more they bring out policies, the more they slow down the work. So if you're an investor or you are someone who wants to perfect title, you've already bought your land, try as much as possible to make sure that the documents are in order so that the moment you start your perfection process, you are sure that it will not be queried at the Office of the Surveyor General. It will not be queried when it comes back to the Bureau of Lands, because there are different offices that are taking care of it when it comes back to the Bureau of Lands. It will not be queried when it goes to the commissioner or the governor, whichever one is applicable. It's the governor of the state that actually signs documents, because the Land Use Act prescribes for it that the governor of the state should consent to every transaction upon the promulgation of that law. I want to believe that we are getting value. I said people fly their coordinates. Sometimes it will be out of incompetence, but oftentimes it's fraud. It's fraud that is the driving force most time. From the ones that we've done for our clients, we find out that maybe the person they bought from just packaged the encumbrance and sold it. And those things would have been discovered if proper due diligence was done. And when we discussed due diligence, like I said, search is not all there is to due diligence. Due diligence is way more than that. At times, we tell our clients that we will need surveyor to pick the coordinates. Some of them will want to save costs. Before a lawyer will start talking about picking coordinates and all of that, I guess the lawyer is having a double mind concerning the documents that you have brought, or the lawyer just wants to be doubly sure. But whichever one is the case, is still for your own good, so that we don't get our fingers burnt, so that when you make your investment, you can go to bed with your eyes closed, knowing that you've done something worthwhile, not that you have bought an encumbered property. I, for one, in my practice, I often I work with surveyors. I advise my clients to pick coordinates to be sure that what we are buying is actually what we are buying. Because although there will be a survey plan attached, that survey plan would have been prepared by another licensed surveyor. Just to be careful and to be doubly sure, we call another licensed surveyor to cross-check what the colleague has done, to be sure that what the colleague has depicted on paper is actually what it is in reality. And what is the consequence of a defective survey plan? Sometimes when they find out that your survey plan is defective, they do what we call rectification. I probably was in a hurry. Okay, but now I'm mentioning it, defective title. What they could do rectification for you. We've done a couple of rectification of survey plan. Rectification could apply to survey plan. It could apply to one or more other components of a perfection documents. But if the defect in your survey plan is not what rectification can correct, sometimes they can cancel the title. That's what we call revocation of title. If you are conversant with Lagos State, where I'm presenting from, or you are conversant with the land registry, you are someone who reads the papers often, you see where they publish titles, revocation of title, that you have a certificate of occupancy or a registered deed or a grant or whichever title documents you have on your land is not, well, we just pray that your title is preserved. But what happens in Lagos State, they keep doing reviews. And when they do reviews, sometimes they find that some people's certificate of occupancy is defective, but they normally will reach out to you. So when you see that they publish in any of the days that some titles have been revoked, know that they have done everything that they could have done to save that title, but the defects is probably way beyond the lands registry or the registrar of title. They will now revoke it. Is either they revoke it or the revocation is cancellation of a title. Is either they are revoking, that is cancelling, or they are rectifying. If they are rectifying, it means we'll be able to correct your survey plan, and we've done that for a couple of clients. I don't know how come we've used all our time. I don't know if anybody dropped messages in the chat room, but even if we go out, because some other persons will probably have other engagements, even if we log out from here, you can still reach me. You can reach me on the information in the flyer. My informations are on the flyer. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chooks. Today is actually my birthday. For those that are wishing me a happy birthday, thank you so much. So I guess that's why I decided to talk about survey plan today. I didn't discuss something that is strictly under my field. These are things we gain from the field of experience. I'm very grateful to every one of you for tuning in, because without you, I probably won't be here. I won't present to an empty audience. So thank you very much. If you have a question as per what we discussed, or you have a question bordering on a property law transaction that I can proffer solution to, I'll be glad to take one or two questions, although the webinar is supposed to span for 30 minutes, and we've actually used up our 30 minutes. And we started way on time. So thank you so much to everyone that logged in. There are no questions in the chat room, but you can also unmute your mic before we log out, before we call it a day. But if it's a question you don't want to ask on the platform here, you can probably send me a DM, or you contact me with the information on the flyer. Thank you so very much. And like I said earlier, today is my birthday. So congratulations are in order, gifts are in order. Mr. Alex asks, if you lose your survey, what can you do? Oh, you just reach out to if you remember the licensed surveyor that did it, just reach out to him. He would have a copy, particularly if it was a licensed surveyor that did it. But if it was a provisional survey, that is, if it was a provisional survey, you can actually get another surveyor to do it. That's the relevance of the license surveyor. They will normally keep their records. They should have a file. They should have a file for the documents that they've done before. So if you lose the survey plan, just reach out to them. They will be able to find it. And they will print another one for you at a cost, but it will be at a minimal cost. It won't be the same with doing it afresh. It won't be the same with doing it afresh. It will save you costs. And, it's still way better than starting from the scratch. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're calling it a day. I want to believe you had value. I want to believe that it was worth the while. Please, if you have questions, do not hesitate to reach out to Beulah Barrister and Solicitor. The information is on the flyer, is on the invite. So that's the only question we got. If you lost your survey plan, what can you do? Reach out to the surveyor that did it, and then he will have a reprint at a minimal cost, at a little cost compared to when you are doing it afresh. So thank you so much. We'll call it a day. Thank you to everyone that attended. We'll see next month, and then the details of what we'll be discussing will also be communicated, and I wish to see you next month. Can title be perfected without a survey plan? No, 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 no. You cannot perfect without a survey plan. Thank you, Surveyor Dada. Thank you, everyone that is wishing me happy birthday. Like I said, gifts are in order. That was on a lighter note. All right, bye. Thank you so much.